I know I'm a great writer, right? Nobody else does. And until they pick up that book, I am deluding myself.
Being stuck on a desert island and then someone's told you there's an island over the horizon and you gotta start swimming. People need to see the middle part. How do you just keep trusting yourself?
Just keep swimming. Doesn't matter. Just keep swimming. Swim until you die or until you hit the island. It's quite possible that I'll tread water for a bit and then I'll turn around and I'll swim back. That would just be the ultimate failure.
When you look at the dream of doing the thing, do you think if I did remove all friction?
If I was to remove all the friction, I would be giving up my wife.
Let's talk to that person who's not got the wife to consider.
Go all in. Fuck yeah. Jump on that horse and ride it till it's dead.
The person that succeeds and the person that fails have the same ocean to swim.
Taking the time to recognize that has been very helpful for me. Still really hard though. Sometimes it's still an anchor around my neck.
The word author is quite prestigious, isn't it?
You know what's funny about that? I call myself a writer because I don't feel like I've earned author yet.
Why?
Because...
There we go. We're live. Tracy.
Hey,
welcome.
I'm Frank.
I'm good, man. I just want you to sort of introduce yourself and give me and the listeners a bit of a start to finish, or not finish, I guess, now. Hopefully it's not the finish, but start to now run through of who you are, where you come from, and what you're doing nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. So I am based in Michigan in the United States, and I'm a big nerd. I love doing tabletop games. I love reading. I love writing. I work in the insurance field, and I have for the last 13 years. You have to be a nerd to do that because there's a lot of things to know. I have, between my wife and I, we have 6 kids, and we've been together for 19 years, married for 17. So, yeah, I'm having a pretty good run. I really can't believe she's put up with me for this long.
So, just big nerd that loves writing. You've just released, well, when did you release The Mark? So, your most recent book.
Yep, The Mark came out in April of 26. Yep, so
pretty recently.
Yeah, I'd finished writing it back in 2000 and then just didn't have the nerve to have it published. But
2000?
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. 2020. But all the years are running together,
like
man.
26 years ago.
Yeah. No, not quite that bad. 2020. So finally got the nerve to start working on getting it published at the end of 25. And it took a lot longer to go through the editing and the beta testing and the publishing process than I would have thought. But I wanted to put out a good product, not just something that I, saved to a PDF and slapped it on Amazon. So I'm happy that it took a little longer because I feel like what came out was a much better book.
From what I understand, your writing started from quite a young age, right?
Yeah, so I started writing when I was in 3rd grade. Just loved it, was terrible. I can't thank my 3rd grade teacher enough for encouraging me to write because it was just god-awful. But the theme then is still kind of the theme now. I liked dark stories, and that has continued into my writing style now. So The Mark isn't the first one I've written, but it is the first one I've published. And the one previous to this, super dark as well. I don't like happy endings. I like people to be shocked and have things fall, tip over and fall on their head. So I don't like things to be tied up in nice and neat at the end of a book. I don't like the warm and fuzzies, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Mm. And you wrote this for yourself, right? And was that part of the reason it took you 6 years to publish it?
Yeah, I write everything for myself first. I want to enjoy it, and I figure if I enjoy it, there's got to be other people out there who enjoy it. And that was part of the reason that it took me so long to get it published because, I wrote it for myself. Publishing it was in the back of my mind, but it wasn't anything like that was the driving force. And then I was just insecure about it. It was my little baby and I thought it was cute, but if I put it out into the world and people started telling me it was ugly, I don't know how I would have taken that. I finally just kind of had to grow a pair and realize that not everybody's going to like it, but it was something that I wanted to share. And hopefully other people will like it as well.
I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to. You're a nerd when it comes to the gaming and the. As am I a little bit, to be fair. But I'm a nerd in what makes people tick, or what makes people take action, or what makes people scared, or what makes. Do you know what I mean? Like the psychology
Yeah.
behind actions and stuff. And I'm really interested in that 6 years that you chose to not do it. And then what was the catalyst that made you go? Actually, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna do this.
Well, part of it was I was trying to get people to read it and just get a general overall opinion on it. My daughter read it, and of course, she's super encouraging. There was no, you need to change this, which I knew was bullshit, right? So, my wife wouldn't read it because she doesn't like the genre. People didn't want to read it because it was on a computer. So I was just having a real hard time with that. Somebody that I work with published a book, and it was easy for him, and he was talking about how happy he was about it, which kind of stirred some feelings in me. And then I read the book, and not it didn't have that polished feel, and I'm like, I know that I can put in some effort and get a real polished book and get that out there, and that kind of spurred me to want to look into the avenues of how to do that. So I had it beta tested or beta read and got some phenomenal feedback on that, while at the same time ripping out my soul. Like, that is super hard to have. Published authors just tear your stuff apart, but it ended up making the book stronger. The whole prologue that I put in, that was only because of the responses from the beta readers. And I've had so many people tell me that it just sucks them right into the book, and then they can't put it down. So, fantastic. Thank you for that feedback. And then, I had it edited and, by an actual professional, not just me or some friend looking at it. And then went through a publishing company so they could get it formatted and get it on Amazon correctly and get it copyrighted and all that fun stuff. And then I engaged with a marketing team to try to get more attention drawn to me and drawn to it. And hopefully that will drive some readership and some likes and some follows.
And how's it going so far? What's the response?
Um, it's not rolling out as fast as I would like, but I also am finding that publishing is a very long game. And I think that you build that momentum slowly, and then once you get to, a certain point, it'll just snowball.
Is that from advice you've been told from people in the same position or similar position when they first started out? Is it because a lot of, as I imagine, when we blend the worlds that we probably have in similar, which is you're in insurance, which is a version of sales. I'm in sales. We've got a sales company, that type of stuff. The benefit of volume and numbers and almost quantity over quality, right? In a weird way.
And that drives me nuts. I cannot stand quantity over quality. And that might actually be a hindering factor for me, because I'm not someone to just throw stuff out there to just get people to see it. Like I know a lot of people will post just whatever content on social media so that they can say, I posted 6 times today, and it feeds the algorithm. I can't do that. It kills my soul to just throw garbage out there, even if it is just a Facebook post.
And I suppose with writing a book, it's literally the complete opposite, right? Like, it's how can I get this work to be the best piece of work that there is, or the version of it to the best potential it has, before it goes anywhere near people's
Yeah,
eyes.
and that's completely
Is
true. I mean, I don't know about other authors out there, but I wouldn't want to put forth a garbage piece of work just to say, hey, I got this published, or hey, yeah, or hey, like, you've bought some of my other stuff, buy this too, just because my name's on it. I couldn't do that. That's just not fair to the people spending their hard-earned money on it.
I think the from my understanding as well, the word author is quite prestigious, isn't it? Like, I'm an author. It has I don't know, it has like something attached to it that makes you go, "Ooh, that's interesting."
You know what's funny about that is I call myself a writer because I don't feel like I've earned author yet. So what you're saying, it does have
Why?
that prestige
Why
feel.
though?
It's, you know, it's because I haven't really sold anything. Like, yes, I have something published, but anybody can publish something on Amazon, right? And there are so many books published on Amazon on a daily and on a yearly basis that until I can grow a readership, I don't feel like I've earned that title of author.
And is that what it comes down to? Is it like when we talk about games and try and blend that into it? Is it like beginner, novice, advanced, so on and so on? Is it like just a title thing or rank that you have to certain? Is there a certain thing that you have to achieve to do it to gain that title, or is that just is that like an ego thing? I'm not saying it's bad, but is that an ego
No, no,
thing for
no,
yourself? Like
no.
I want to
I
do this
actually think
before I say that.
I think it's both, right? The worst part is I don't even have a set number in my head. So I will probably, just because, you know, anxiety and just always beating up on myself and being my own worst enemy, I will probably in my brain never achieve the rank of author, no matter how much I sell and how many likes I get and how many people just tell me that they love the book. So, but I do agree with your analogy. Like, yeah, like you're a novice, then you move up to, you know, intermediate, and then you move up to average, and then, until you get up there. But I could not quantify that to give you, anything to kind of place those rankings in your mind.
So when we look at that, then what's the goal behind it? Is it to achieve a status of some sort, or is it just to put out work that you like?
What's the goal of being a writer? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, just like so obviously the world that you're in is not really a like you're in the insurance world, you're in the sales end of stuff. People are going to look at that and go, "You wrote a book,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and then a fiction book, especially not you'd think like the how to sell more, how to run a business, how to self-development, personal development,
Yeah.
optimization, all that bullshit.
So
He's wrote a fiction book.
that's because I have to live in a fictional world to get away from my real life. Otherwise, I'll go crazy. But um, personally, like best case scenario, I can make enough money to sustain my lifestyle and get away from insurance. That would be fantastic. I would love that. And I would definitely be able to churn things out faster because that would be my primary focus.
But you still won't be an author.
Yeah, I would love to. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't be an author. I don't know what I would put on my tax return, but it wouldn't be author.
Because it's interesting to me. Because how do you what's your perspective on the identity shift that people need to make to fit a certain thing? Like when did you start in insurance? Did you say it was 12
That
years
was
ago?
2013.
2013. What were
Yeah,
you
at the end of the
doing
year.
previous to that?
I was in banking.
Banking. So how did you make that, or why did you make that shift into the insurance world?
I wasn't happy with the way that the overall corporation was treating the customers, right? They weren't people. It was just squeeze them for every possible penny. I get it. It's a retail sales environment, but at the same time they're trusting us with their money, with their investments. Let's treat them like people. And I'd had enough of it. And my wife was working at an insurance carrier and they had a sales position open. So I moved over to that. And I found it to be much more rewarding because I was actually helping people. And the sales were secondary, just a byproduct of that. But I was helping people protect themselves, further their business needs. So I really enjoyed that. And that's why I've stuck with it.
And then now coming to the back end of that 12, 13 years later, what's making you want to make the shift out of it? Is there certain elements you don't align with anymore? Or is it just a change in time of life and this
I think it's
drive
a
you've had
change
since
in
third grade?
Yeah, I mean, it's a change in life. All of my kids are adults and they've moved out, so my wife and I are empty nesters. And this has always been a dream, just sitting in the back of my mind, that I want to be a published author, and I don't just want to be someone who's like I can hold up my book and say, "Oh, look, my name's on the book, yay." I want to be someone who I can go out in the world and actually see someone reading my book, right? That is a little dream of mine, to just be out in the wild, see someone reading my book and go up and say, "How are you liking that?" You know, and maybe even get a picture with them. That would just make my day. I think that would make everything worth it.
That's really cool, man. And I think people will hear, because, like the world you've been in, especially previously, like the finance, the banking world, the insurance world, it's all quite, from my understanding anyway, especially if it's similar to my world, it's all quite financially driven. Like you have, you know, people out there that are making good, very, very good money doing it. And there'll be a lot of people in the phase of life where that is probably what they're optimizing for, right? Was that your situation, do you think?
Yeah, I do make good money at it. I am very good at my job. I'm well respected. It would be very hard for me to walk away from my current job, but it's still my dream. It's still what I want to do.
It's crazy, isn't it? The dream can outweigh something that's been the safety net or the thing you've optimized for. Do you think it's
Yeah.
in line with the kids moving out and the less not less responsibility, but
Well, no, there's less financial responsibility if you want to look at it that way. I have more free time to work on it. And I think the timing does align with that. And it wasn't anything that was planned. Me putting the book on the back burner had nothing to do with waiting for them to graduate and be on with their lives before I put the effort into doing this. It was just kind of how it happened, how it fell out.
and how old are you?
I'm 47.
47.
Mhm.
So you've been through, this is like the third thing, right? The third phase that you're going into, author phase.
Yeah. I had my, out of high school job, and then I had my big boy jobs, and now I'm trying to work on my dream job.
What would you say do you think, looking back, you've done that in the order that you'd do it again if you were to do it again?
In order to change the progression, like how I would go about doing it, I would have to make a lot of changes in my previous life, my very early life, and that would mean that I wouldn't have my kids. So no, I would not change it because I love my kids, and even though I wouldn't know the difference, I do now, making making the statement, and I wouldn't want to change that at all.
Someone listening is probably potentially in a phase where they're optimizing, like it sounds like we both are, not necessarily for the dream thing, but more so for the thing that can. I have this conversation with quite a few people that struggle battling between, should I monetize my passion or should I find something to pay for the life so I can do my passion more freely or like afford my passion? So does that make sense to you? Like,
Yeah, it absolutely does, because you're going to live two completely different lives depending on what you pick there. And if you try to monetize your passion, there's no safety net, right? There's no guarantee that it's going to work, and I'm having a hard time with that right now. Like if I knew it was going to work, I'd walk away from my job. I love my job, but I would walk away from it because this is the dream. But I can't do that because I need a safety net. Being in insurance, I'm always looking at worst case scenarios. So in my brain, I'm like, this is going to fail. I'm doing everything in my power so it doesn't fail, but I always have to have that contingency plan going. So I can see why a lot of people would lean towards safety and security and having that professional job as their main source of income, and using that to just fund their hobbies or their dream job on the side. It's tough though. It's a tough decision to make. Um, I get so much more satisfaction out of writing and being creative than my actual job, even though I do get satisfaction out of that. And it's hard to set the larger satisfaction aside to handle other things, it almost borders on, you know, a bit of depression, just because that's what I want to be doing, and I'm having a really hard time finding the time to do it.
And what would happen if you went all in, do you think?
Oh,
Because like again, I talk to people. My business is about getting people into the mindset where they are the reason it works, not the vehicle working. They are the driver that will make it work regardless, right? And I'm quite extreme with that, as you can probably tell. Like, I think you set your mind to something, you can do as much anything you want, but there has to be the realistic side of it that people have to consider as well. But a game that I try and play with people is like, right, just play out best case, worst case. Like, what is the worst case scenario of you going up? Then if you flip that, what is the best case and which one means more? Like, does the best case mean more than the worst case potential? Or, do you know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
when you look at the dream of doing the thing, do you think it's something that you could be like, okay, if I did remove all friction for going all in on this author path, what do you think the potential of it being more successful would be? Higher or lower?
So if I was to remove all the friction, I would be giving up my wife. Like if I was to just quit my job and tell her, "Hey, I'm just going to be an author," and there's, you know, there's no guarantee I'm going to make any money, she would, as supportive as she is, she would not be that supportive. And I don't blame her. That is definitely not something that I would expect her to support me on. So if I had the choice of going all in and removing all friction, or not doing it, or not succeeding in that dream, I would choose not succeeding, because I wouldn't give my wife up for that.
Man. So it has to be the long road.
It does. It does. Unfortunately. And fortunately at the same time. But, you know, she's been my rock with this. And she's been very supportive, and she puts up with my craziness. And I couldn't push that to the side. I need to also take what's important to her into consideration.
Yeah, 100%, man. And if you were talking to someone who potentially didn't have as much, because I can see your situation as you could be a good teacher to people with that same dilemma, but with less responsibility to consider, you know? So let's talk to that person who's not got the wife to consider, the kids, do you know what I mean? Like
Go all in.
Fuck it and go all in.
Fuck yeah! Jump on that horse and ride it till it's dead.
The worst case isn't as bad as it.
I mean, you know what? I think you're going to find out within 5-10 years max whether or not you're going to be successful. And if you're young enough in life, you can make up for that, right? You're going to have to work your ass off, but you can make up for that if it doesn't work. But if it does work, I mean, you're living the dream. So it's worth taking that chance. It's going to be hard, man. It's going to be the hardest thing you ever do, but do it.
And do you see that as a common thing? Because I'm really interested in this split, because I work with a lot of American people, or have worked with a lot of American people, and obviously I'm from England, and a lot of my peers and people around me are English, and there is a very big difference in attitude across the waters. Like, everyone where I'm from is glass half empty. It is like no matter what.
I must be from England too, man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it's that underwriting mindset of what's the worst case scenario.
Is that learned behavior for you though? Because I understand in the insurance world, you've spoken quite openly about the fact that it's always worst case. You have to always consider worst case. You hear a lot of shit in that world, right?
Yeah, part of it is learned. I would say the very sharpened edge is learned. But I think I've always kind of been worst case scenario. It's just how how, I don't want to say how I was brought up, but just the mentality I had as I grew up. Yeah, you make stupid decisions. You have to deal with the consequences, and it kind of it makes you a little jaded at times.
Is that something you've tried to like? Obviously, 6 kids, man. Fuck me, I'm having my first in 2 months.
Good luck.
Yeah, I wouldn't then pick another 5. Even this phase I've gone through so far, I wouldn't do that another 5 times. How do you take what you've been through and your experiences up to now and pass that on to your kids? Do you try and tell them to, similar to what you just said, like, fuck it, go all in on your dream when we're here for you, we got you? Or is it more so just sort yourself out, get safe, and then figure out from there?
That's going to depend on the kid I'm talking to. Most of
That's
them,
fair you got.
yeah, most of them, it's like, go for it, go for it. I have a daughter who, moved out early, and she was still going to school to be an esthetician, and she was living in a place that I wasn't really thrilled with her living in, but she wanted to live on her own. So, I supported that. I helped her where I could. And, she's very happy now. She ended up getting married this year, and she's married to a great guy. And she's still working as an esthetician. He has his own business. He has another job. Like, they're very hardworking people. And they're working towards the dreams that they want. My youngest daughter, she went to school. She has a master's degree in aerospace engineering. Like, she's doing great. We really supported her in that dream. My son, he is a cosmetologist. And then I have a couple other kids where it's just like, come on, you can do it. Come on. Like you want them, the ones that are having the harder time, you want them to find that foundation so that they can build from there. And it just seems to be a struggle to find that foundation. But you do what you can to help them. You just can't live their lives, and you can't force them to do anything.
Do they have dreams like you potentially did at that age, like the writing dream?
No, I wouldn't think so. My oldest daughter just got married recently, and I think that was her dream, to get married and start a family. So maybe she is starting to get that foundation under her, and I just don't see it yet. And then my youngest son, he is going to school right now, and he wants to get into some type of business management. I just have a hard time with business management degrees. Sorry if you have one. They just kind of seem to be like, I need to go to school, but I don't know what I want to be type of degree in most situations. And I've seen a lot of people get those, and then they don't pursue anything with that degree. And it's expensive. It's expensive to go that route and then not do anything with it.
I was listening to a podcast recently about the similar conversation. It was a guy who was like, he was looking back at when he was making that decision as to go to business school or not. And it would have cost him 120K for 2 years of business school. And he made the decision to go, actually, if I just use that 120K and put it into a business and worked at it night and day for 2 years, would I get more or less than I would if I had a business degree? And he obviously went the business. He chose to pick the business route. And the thinking behind it was like, there is nothing like exposure therapy than like if you just get stuck in and go all in on something. Like we're sort of alluding to with anything. Like if there is no other option, there is no friction, and given there's no response, like the worst case, as we've said, isn't as bad as it could potentially be when you're older.
Yeah, it's not the end of the world. You can recoup from that. And kudos to that guy for actually having that conversation with himself and thinking that through. There's so much pressure to go to college, go to university, get that degree. And he recognized, I'm going to spend that much money on it and walk out. I'm not going to have a job. I'm not going to be any further ahead other than I have a piece of paper that's signed by, this school. At least worst case scenario for him, he invests that money into his business. It fails. He'll have some assets that he can sell to recoup some of that. He'll have the experience of starting the business, some business management, like real life business management.
I think that's more than what you'd probably learn. And I've never done a business degree, so I don't know, but you're going to learn a lot of shit the hard way by just doing it.
Yeah. I mean, both of my kids, and actually all three of my kids that went to some type of higher education, they were like, they just teach you enough to pass the tests, and then you get the job experience when you get there. So, and that's even the case for my aerospace engineer, right? Like she learned coding, she learned a lot of the physics and things like that, but you don't know how to do the job when you get there. You just know some of the background stuff. So I do feel that jumping in like he did, he probably learned more from that in 2 years than he would have from getting a 2-year degree.
We have this problem over here that I've been talking to people about recently, that when people get degrees over here, there is little to no jobs available afterwards, but there is a shit ton of debt that needs paying back.
Yeah, how are you supposed to do that? It's the inverse of what should be happening.
Why do people keep doing it? Why do people keep going for degrees?
It's the expectation. It's the expectation. They're probably hearing that people are having a hard time getting a job. Well, in order to get a job, I need to have more education and a degree so that I can prove that I'm worth it to the employers. But you're throwing yourself into the same pool that all of these other people are drowning in. It's really sad, and it's cyclical, and I think it's causing a lot of problems for the future.
Especially with the way the world's going. I think there's never been more. And like you said about the difference between a writer and an author, in your opinion anyway, it sounds similar to a lot of things where there's no barrier to entry. And because there's no barrier to entry, that's both a positive, really positive thing, because anyone can just write a book and great, or anyone can do the thing, start a business, whatever. But because there's no barrier to entry,
anybody can start a business and write a book.
Anybody can start a business, write a book.
Exactly. And it definitely floods the market with what's available out there, and it dilutes the reader pool for someone who might buy my book. So, that's why I'm making the extra effort to put myself out there and, become known by potential readers. And then hopefully, they will read it, they'll like it, they'll recommend it, and it'll snowball from there.
And what is the type of, like, because when we come down, when we look at, because books and creative pieces like that is a form of art, right? Like it's you're pulling out the things in your mind and creating this story, and like you said, even if it's just written for you, there's going to be a pool of people that will enjoy it. How do you want to be known going forward? Do you want to be the person that the book does the work, not the work, but you want to be known because it's high quality and people love it? Or do you want to be known as people buy my book because they like me?
Damn, Frank, that's a question.
Because I see it. Let me give you a minute to think about it. Because I see a lot of people online with and I'm more in like the business space and that world, and the difference between no one really buys into the logo of a business. Like some have done it really well, like Coke, the classics, Coke, Apple, that type, the big names, like they know it from a mile off. But the more like startup style stuff, people really buy into the owner, and then no matter what they put out, like I've got these pouches and everything I've got is one of these brands because I love the owners of that company, right? And I therefore like their things more. Do you think it's the same in the author world? Like, I know you take inspiration from like Stephen King and certain people like that. Are you more bought into their work or them as an individual and then therefore their work?
Yeah, I would say I would buy a book because it has Stephen King's name on it before I would buy another book that might even look like it interests me more. But how did he get there, right? Did he get it because he's out doing interviews? or he's, writing blogs or any of that stuff, or did he do it because he put out a good product? Personally, I think you have to put out that good product and become known for that product, and then it steamrolls into, okay, well, I know this guy does good work, so that translates into, okay, this guy is good work. He's going to, anything that I pick up from him should be a quality product that I will enjoy reading. So it's kind of a mix of the two. My own personal opinion is I wanted to start with the book. I want people to like the book and share that, not just share like, hey, I heard this guy on a podcast and he sounds awesome. Let's read his book. I mean, that's great too. I'm not poo-pooing that, but I've always been one where what I'm going to consume is should be more important to me than who generated it. Not always the case. Stephen King's a good example, but that's how I feel about it. Part of that might be biased and skewed though, because nobody knows who the fuck I am, right? So I want them to buy
the chicken or the egg, isn't it? It's like,
yeah, exactly. That's why I said it was such a good question. It's like I want them to buy a book from an unknown author and give it a shot where I would have a hard time doing that. So I'm asking people to step outside of my comfort zone and do it.
And what's been because I know you work with a marketing company, right? That's how we've actually met, wasn't it? But what's their ethos? Like, how are have they done this before? What's their way of getting you out there? Is it advertise Tracy and then the book will follow, or advertise the book and then Tracy will follow?
It's the former. It's get on the podcast, you don't even have to talk about the book, don't push the book, don't shill the book, just talk, like have a conversation, let people get to know you, and if they know you and they like you, they'll purchase the book, and then if they like the book, they'll buy your next book, and so on and so forth. So they're much more experienced at this than I am. I'm just throwing my 2 cents in the ring, and it's not worth much, but the guidance that they're giving me, I would expect is backed by market research and their own experience. They've been around for a while. They're very well known. So I'm putting all my faith in that and running with it.
What are some examples? Do you know of examples of authors that have done that have sort of come out of the blue and come out of nowhere, whether it's fiction or non-fiction? Like, I can think of like maybe Mark Manson, maybe, who like, I didn't even know what he fucking looked like until the other day. And I've read like 3 of his books, and I'm on his newsletter. I read everything he puts out, but I had no idea who the guy was.
I before I made the decision to go with them, my wife and I were looking at the website, and she goes, "Oh, I've read that book, and I've read that, and I know that author." So I got her feedback from that. I live in a very like focused, narrow world, so I don't know. I don't have as much experience with different authors like she does. She'll pick up almost anything. And she loves audiobooks. And so she has more time to consume media than I do, because she drives to work every day, 45 minutes and back. Where I sit at home and work from home, and because I work from home, I'm either almost always working, or I'm writing, or I'm, spending time with her. So it cuts into my ability to consume media like she does.
Really interested to see how this pans out, because obviously you've got how do you work a lot? Are you like pretty full on?
Yeah, I mean, I work like 8 to 4. That's what I shoot for. A lot of times it'll bleed over into something longer, which is fine. Nobody ever really told me like how many hours I'm supposed to work a day. And I get my job done, and I'm really good at it. So nobody's complaining about my output and my production. So I don't plan on changing anything. Sometimes though, if a customer wants to schedule a meeting after 4, or just, they call me, I'm not going to tell them no. That'd be nuts.
Because this is like the side hustle, old school side hustle that I'm looking at this like you see people online sharing like, oh, I do 2 hours work in an evening and earn an extra 10K per month, and that's my whatever. This is how I do it. But you're running a race without knowing how long the race is, right? Like,
That's true, and I'm going to keep trying to put more, more runners in that race to do better, get more miles out of it. But I have no idea how well I'm going to place, how long the race is, what the prize is at the end, if there's one at all. So yeah, it's really hard for me not knowing what the end result is, and that's part of my leap of faith.
and how do you keep waking up and choosing to do it? Because it has to be a choice, right? It's not like you make the decision once. I think people have a skewed opinion what it takes to actually do something worth, or not worth doing, but fulfill a dream, shoot for a goal, take like people think writing in a little notebook saying I want to achieve this is
Yeah,
the
that's
job
getting them somewhere.
is the job done. You have to wake up and do your long day at work, finish that long day at work, and then choose to then not switch off from that job and go and do something else that's not giving you instant gratification like the world is so built to need.
I
Right?
love my instant gratification, man. So I know what you're saying. I don't like failing, right? And I don't want to be a failure to my wife and to my family. And I'm measuring that based on the amount of money that I've already invested in this. If I can't make that back, I've failed. If I can make that back, I'll feel so much better about it. And then I'll set my next goal. I want to get my next book out. I want to be this well known. I want to make, sell this many copies of it. But that's what keeps me going. And it's the same thing in my professional life too, right? I don't want to be a failure. I need to sell this much business, help this many people. And then once I get to that goal, I create a new goal. Now I want to be here. And it just continues throughout the year. And then I try to maximize that as much as I can.
And how do you keep yourself going doing that? Because it's not motivation. It's not, well, I really want to, right?
It's really hard. I mean, putting in a full day at work and then, turning that computer off and turning another one on to start writing. I'm not always successful at that on a daily basis. And then having podcast interviews and having other things in life going on, sometimes things get, sometimes the manuscript gets put down for a couple weeks. But then I feel guilty about it, right? But the nice thing is, even when I'm not writing, I'm always thinking about it. And I'm thinking about what the next steps are going to be and what the future steps are going to be and how those are going to relate. So while I might not be putting, words to paper, I'm still progressing it in my mind and working on the story there.
I compare it to, because again, like I'm trying to create similarities between the worlds that we have, right? And something I tell people that I work with is it's like running a race. Like even if you have to fucking walk,
Keep moving.
Just do not stop moving. Like you said, even if the most productive thing you can do that day is sit on the sofa, brain dead from work, and just think about the book or think about the goal or think about something that you can do. That's cool. Do it, But
yeah. Oh, God.
People will overestimate what they can do in a short period of time and underestimate what they can do in a 10-year period. Would you agree?
100%. I'm kind of straddling that fence right now. Like I don't, as much as I want this to be my career, I don't know how far out I'm actually looking because I think I have that short-term goal in mind of, get the next book out, keep writing the one I'm working on, make my money back. Like that's much more short-term than say that 10-year goal. But I'm trying to stretch my brain to start thinking about what that next goal is going to be once I hit my short-term goal. Because I don't want to hit that short-term goal and be like, yeah, I'm done. I hit the finish line, or this is as far as I'm running, so fuck it. No, I need to keep that race going.
I think uncertainty gets in the way of a lot in people's lives.
I would agree. I trip over it a lot.
Because, I think you said this earlier in this conversation. If you if you knew it wouldn't fail, you'd go all in.
Yeah.
Even if that was in 3 years. If you knew the escape velocity was in 3 years, and you just had to grind it out for 3 years with nothing else, but you knew it would work, I'm assuming it'd make it a lot easier making that decision or justifying that decision to yourself.
If I knew the end goal was success, 100%, I'd do it 10 years out. I'd be fine with that. That would still give me time to capitalize on the success from the writing and recoup whatever I may have made over a 10-year period of time. That would be success to me, and that would be worth the struggle to get there. I don't know if my wife would agree with that, but it would be worth it to me.
And do you think a bit of delusion needs to be in play to be able to do that?
Wow, yeah. Yes, because you have not having any guarantee of success, you have to be able to delude yourself that you're good enough to reach that you're able to put together a product that people are going to want to consume to allow you to reach that. I know I'm a great writer, right? Nobody else does. Very few people do. And until they pick up that book, I am deluding myself that I'm a great writer, because it doesn't matter what I think. It matters what the people with the money who are wanting to buy the book think.
Yeah. It's like being stuck on a desert island and then someone's told you there's an island over the horizon with water and a paradise with all this stuff on it. And you got to start swimming. But you'll get to halfway and you won't see that next island, but you can still see your island. And you're just going off delusion.
You don't even know if you're going in the right direction. Yeah. You have no idea. So,
and you just got to keep swimming until you see something, even if the last one's outside. But a lot of people will get to that point where they can't see their island anymore, but they know it's there, so they'll turn around and go back.
And that's always a fear for me too, that I'm going to start doubting myself to the point where I become my own saboteur and prevent myself from succeeding. And I have to struggle with that every day and say, no, you're going to do this. Here's the game plan. Just keep proceeding with it, and not cause that self-sabotage that's going to cause me to swim back to the first island.
I love this, man, because so many podcasts and stuff and things you hear and listen to are when people have reached the island, that second island. And it's always in retrospect, like, yeah, just keep swimming, man. It's fine. It'll happen. But people need to see the middle part and how real it is. I'm in the middle part right now, as are you. How do you do it? How do you keep swimming? How do you just keep trusting yourself that this is right? This is the play. This is the right thing to do, even though every single fiber in your body will sometimes tell you to swim back.
It's funny. I don't even think, I think parts of me just try not to think about it anymore. And it's just keep swimming. Just keep swimming. Doesn't matter. Just keep swimming. Swim until you die, right? Or until you hit the island. Stop thinking about what else is going on. And it's kind of like ostrich head in the ground, in the sand type thing. But if I stop and I start thinking about it, it will, it's quite possible that I'll tread water for a bit and then I'll turn around and I'll swim back. And I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. That would just be the ultimate failure to me. But you were talking about seeing people on podcasts that have succeeded. And that's generally all you hear about. And that's true. And I've always had a hard time with my writing, like going through it and I'm editing and I'm like, well, this doesn't make sense. And, this needs to be corrected. And I always have in my mind what I've read. And those are generally perfect manuscripts and perfect books. And I'm like, how did they get there? They had the same process that I did, right? They wrote something and then they had someone else read it. And one of my favorite openings for a Stephen King book was he wrote the book, gave it to his wife, she read it and gave it back and said, "You can do better than this." And he had to go back and fix it, and then he had to have it edited. So they awesome authors and awesome writers and awesome salespeople go through all the same processes we all do. We just see the final product. And I'm trying to keep in mind that, you know, they have to swim too. They have to tread water too. Sometimes they get stuck in the rip current too, and it pulls them in the wrong direction. And what I need to actually compare with is my final product if I'm going to be looking at their final product.
The person that succeeds and the person that fails both feel the same things, have the same experiences, have the same path to walk down, have the same ocean to swim, whatever analogy you want to use. They have the same exact circumstances or scenario that they have to endeavor to get there. And people that fail don't, or aren't, sorry, not fail, but aren't willing to start, I don't think realize that enough.
I would agree with you, and I think that's part of what took me so long to take that finished manuscript and take it to the next step of the beta testing and the editing and the publishing. I didn't recognize those steps were necessary for successful people, and when you sit back and you look at it, you're like, you were asking me if I'm deluding myself towards being successful. Well, I was deluding myself towards being unsuccessful back then, right? So you can delude yourself either way. And that delusion was, I don't have as good of a finished product as what I'm consuming, so it's not good. Well, of course it's not good. It's a first draft. It needs to be read and read and read and read and polished so many times before it's worth putting out. And I mean, I've read it as the book, right? And there's still things I'm like, oh, I wish I would have reworded that, or the wrong word got put in here, and word didn't catch it, and there's still little things, but I can read a professional book, something that's actually come out from a publishing house, and I can find errors in those too. So, or better ways to word things. So taking the time to recognize that has been very helpful for me in moving forward and just taking the next baby step. Still really hard though. Sometimes it's still an anchor around my neck.
Yeah, understanding the psychology and the theory and all the bells and whistles around it doesn't make it easier, I don't think. I think it just keeps you going. I think even if that's the minimum, like we said, even if it stops you from stopping, even if it just keeps you walking, cool. Like use it,
I think you're going from justifying why you can't succeed to then justifying why you can succeed, but it's still just as hard either way. But you're taking those negative thought patterns and turning them into positive thought patterns, and that is what will keep you going. The weight is still the same. The thought patterns and the end goal make it worth achieving and make it worth all of those hard steps.
And I think optimizing for inputs over outcomes is something that I had to really, really like. It's fucking hard to learn that and to understand it and to feel it, especially like, again, similar to what we said, like theory is great, but actually feeling it and understanding it is a completely different thing. And now I really try and feel success from my inputs, not from my outcomes.
Yes, and I'm very outcome driven. So what you're talking
I think we all are. I think humans are. I think that's a normal thing, but it's a torturous life living with an outcome driven mindset.
It is. I mean, in my entire professional career, it's what are your sales? What's your production? What are your numbers? And this job, while it's production driven, isn't as bad as the last one. It was like every day, where are you at now? Where are you at now? Just take a pill, like calm down. But it is hard to then change it to, my inputs instead of outputs. So what I'm trying to enjoy instead of seeing, number of books sold is number of reviews, number of positive reviews, and what people are saying about the book and what they liked about it and how they can relate to it. I mean, I've had some people relate to it in really strange ways, and they're just so happy about it. Like they'll put in the review, "I cried because of this," and it's a positive thing. So just seeing those things, and I'm not like an overly emotional person. I am in the writing, but not like outwardly. But seeing those and how it's affected people, that makes me feel. It makes me tear up a little bit. It makes me feel like what I'm doing is having a positive emotional impact on people, and it makes it everything that I'm doing worth it.
You got great advice, my friend.
Well, you yanked it out of me. This was a fantastic conversation. I mean, some of the questions you asked made me think about things differently, and I really appreciate that.
I think you should. This is going to be way easier for me to say than you to do it, but I think you should go all in, man. I think you should go all in. Like you've got a really good relationship with what you're doing, and I think you're doing it for the. And obviously, look, and we can all say we do it for the right reasons and want the success at the end of it. But I really do think you're picking a path that's especially as you've got success in your life. What most people would define as success, like money, comfort, yada, yada, yada. And you're still choosing something that's really uncomfortable every single day and having that stubbornness to just keep swimming and keep going for it.
Stubborn is one of my quality traits. That means a lot to me, though, Frank. It really does. Joke aside, like, that means more than you can imagine. I may need to have you talk to my wife first,
Yeah.
because I'm gonna need some support. I may need a couch to crash on. So we may have to talk later.
You've got a big fucking ocean to swim then if you need to come sleep on my couch.
Very true.
Honestly, though, I think I love seeing people with a thing that they're actually putting their all into, because I really am a believer in hard work beats talent every single day. Like, I think we all have the capability to do anything that we want to do. I think it just requires more work than people are willing to do or are aware is required. And I think it is a tough thing to do, especially like you said, with responsibilities. But the responsibilities are, I think, only going to get harder. And I'm not necessarily talking to. I am talking to you, obviously, but I'm talking to people in any situation. I think the responsibilities are only going to get harder to justify doing the thing.
I would agree. There's a lot of psychological issues behind it. Like you said, you love studying that part of it. We self-sabotage. I think that I know that a lot of parents are super supportive, and there's a lot of jokes that go around about participation awards and things like that. But I do still feel like parents sabotage their kids by steering them down a specific path, and you need to go to college, and that isn't for you, or that that isn't going to make you any money. At some point, you have to be like, okay, money or happiness, which is more important? They're both important, but which is more important? And it took me until my kids were probably in their middle to late teens to really recognize that. And I know that I probably did some damage to them in terms of, do I pursue happiness or do I pursue money? But I'm trying to encourage them for the happiness over money now, just because I've got to the point in my life where I realize that's so much more important. But they're fucking kids. They're not going to listen to me.
Right, exactly. Maybe you should tell them the opposite and then see what they do. But
Yeah, they probably would. They'd just quit all their jobs and go live in California on the beach.
I started my business I was earning good money in sales. I was a sales rep, and I was financially it was great. It was amazing, but I was having to work like 16 hours a day without looking up from a computer apart from to eat and shit. And when me and my partner decided that we wanted to have a kid, it was like, yeah, we've got great money, we can support whatever, but I cannot have this life when I have a child. And
No, it's a time commitment. It's not just money and security of being able to provide. It's a huge time commitment.
I think it's something because I didn't want to be a dad that didn't see my kid. I wanted to be a dad that could. And now I have a business, which I probably work a similar amount of time, but it is the time I can choose. So I have autonomy over that. And that means, and even though I'm earning much, 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 much less, it is the autonomy that means more to me now over anything. And I don't know if I had to go through the bell curve of experiencing the money to go, time's more important than me being in the situation of not ever having felt it. And then, because you see it all the time, and it's easy to say from someone who's earned money and done well, and people that have, you hear it all the time, like, money doesn't buy happiness, money doesn't, whatever, whatever, whatever. And then the person listening always goes, yeah, but it would for me. It would for me, trust me. It would. Money would be very good for me.
What's the saying? People who say money doesn't buy happiness have never been poor or something like that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think you did have to go through the cycle that you went through, because you would be one of those people then if you hadn't experienced the ultra success, but then been like, how much is this taking from me? I can't enjoy the success other than, like you said, the outputs, the numbers that you're seeing. That's not worth it. That's not worth spending your life pursuing that, not having a family or not being able to spend time with the family that you have. I enjoyed having time to spend with my kids and teaching them, stupid things and teaching them important things, and just, I wish I could go back and spend more of that time with them now that they're adults. And I think I'm also one of those parents now that's always pestering them, like, when are you going to come over for dinner? I never get to see you. Like my mom used to do to me. And I was always like, Jesus Christ, shut up. But yeah, so the role has definitely changed. So I'm really proud of you for taking the leap and going the path that you have.
Hey man, you're 43. You still got time. You could have 7. You could have another one.
No, I'm 47, not having another one, dude. I'll enjoy the grandkids when they eventually come, hopefully in 5 years. I don't need any right now.
No, honestly, though, I appreciate you coming on, because it's refreshing to hear someone in the thick of it with the ocean still to swim, and it's cool to, because I think you'll do really well, and I think you'll get whatever version of success you want, and I think one day you will call yourself an author. And I feel appreciative that I've been able to have a conversation with someone. It's like Bitcoin. It's like talking to someone before it explodes. And I think if you've got that drive that you say you've got, and you're going to continue doing it, even if it's just a walk, and you're going to keep moving and getting to where you want to be, I think that's a good thing to have. And I think people can hear this and go, actually, my thing, like, fucking books is a hard ocean to swim. Like, there are much, much easier passions to have to see the version of success from. And you've picked a tough one, but honestly, I wish you all the best with it all.
Thank you.
And I want you to give yourself a little plug. Where can we get your stuff?
So the book that I wrote is called The Mark by T.A.Thompson. It's on Amazon. You can go to my website, and there's a link to buy it there. The website is T.A.Thompsonwriter.com. Follow me on Facebook. I throw out a literary question every day, and I'd love to get some more feedback on that. My Facebook is T.A.Thompson, and then Instagram is the same. I'm not as fluent with that yet, but I'm working on it, and I'm throwing that literary question on there every day too, in case you're young and don't, want to get a Facebook profile.
Send me all your links, Tracy. I'll put them all below, and we'll connect on there. And I'm sure we will be speaking soon.
All right. Thank you very much, Frank.
Thank you, man.